Just ahead on News 13 tonight, 3 people are dead after a bus full of mentally handicapped patients overturns in Dutchess County. And an inspection pulls buses off the road in Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Cohoes is still smoldering. We'll have more on a possible cause for last night's devastating fire. Those stories, much more, all straight ahead here on News 13 tonight.
Now, from WNYT. News for the Capital Region. With Ed Degg, Chris Kapostashi, Bob McNamara on sports, and meteorologist Bob Kovachick. This is News 13 tonight.
Good evening. There are 2 tragedies at the top of tonight's report. We're going to tell you about a bus crash in Dutchess County that has killed 3 mentally handicapped adults.
First, though, we're going to take you back to Cohoes, a city still reeling from last night's tragedy, which by all measures, except loss of life, was one of the very worst fires in Capital Region history. Flames turned night into day Sunday evening in Cohoes, leaping from building to building after their start at 64 Howard Street. 16 fire companies, 200 men were called in, but it still took hours before the general alarm blaze was under control. 75 people were left homeless. 3 businesses on Remsen Street are no longer standing. This area has mobilized to help the victims of the Cohoes fire. Meanwhile, as Bill Lambden reports, investigators tonight are looking for answers, asking why the fire started and how it spread so fast.
The hall of the United Church of Cohoes actually looked overstocked tonight. People moved through in a steady stream, donating to the 75 fire victims, most of whom lost almost everything.
The response has been absolutely overwhelming by the community. Every age group and every group of people seem to be working and doing all they can to help everybody else.
The Red Cross director says they have more clothes than they need, although other items are still in short supply.
What we really could use now would be things like diapers and household items.
At the fire scene on Howard and Remsen Streets tonight, cleanup still had far to go. This has become a very big curiosity. Throughout the day, there were always dozens of people standing behind police lines, several saying it looked like Europe after the bombs hit during World War II. There are 2 competing theories going through the crowd. Some see it as street justice among motorcycle rivals, while others, including victim Larry Halleck, are convinced the blaze was started by teenagers with firecrackers.
They party up there and everything else on the porches, and just this time it got carried away with their firecracker business.
Although investigators were probing the rubble before it even stopped smoldering, they may never have a definitive answer to the question everyone is asking: what really caused this fire? The damage is that great. Bill Lambden, News 13 tonight, Cohoes.
As Bill just told us, clothing is no longer a problem for the fire victims, although many other items of everyday living are still needed and very much appreciated. Furniture is being collected at the old Keaveney Academy on Ontario Street, while diapers, dishes, other materials are being taken in at the United Church on Mohawk Street. The Red Cross is also accepting monetary donations to help victims of this blaze.
At least 3 people were killed, 22 others injured tonight when a bus carrying mentally handicapped adults overturned in Dutchess County. Police in the town of Clinton say the driver took control of the bus while rounding a curve on a hill. The bus then hit a utility pole and plunged down a ravine. Those aboard were clients of a rehabilitation center in Poughkeepsie. The bus was returning them to their respective group homes when the accident happened. 27 counts of murder were filed today against the driver of a pickup truck that slammed into a bus in Kentucky over the weekend. Tests showed the driver had been drinking heavily, and if convicted, he could face the death penalty.
According to witnesses, Larry Mahoney's pickup truck was traveling at a high speed when it hit the school bus head-on. Prosecutors charge he was drunk. His blood alcohol level was .24, 2.5 times the legal limit in Kentucky. Authorities say the school bus was filled to capacity as it traveled along the southbound lanes of I-71 Saturday night. Mahoney's pickup truck was traveling in the wrong direction at the time of the collision, rupturing the gas tank on the bus, sparking a flash fire that killed 27 passengers. The gas tank was in the front end of the bus. In April 1977, the federal government required all new school buses carry the gas tank near the rear axle to prevent this kind of disaster. Radcliffe, Kentucky mourned the loss of 27 people today, most of them teenagers. 16 of them were students at the junior high school.
This afternoon, a complaint has been filed in the Carroll District Court charging Larry Mahoney with 27 counts of capital murder. An arrest warrant has been issued. The officer is at the hospital arresting Mr. Mahoney at this time.
Prosecutor John Ackman says he will seek the death penalty against Mahoney. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Radcliffe, Kentucky.
More than half of the school bus fleet in Pittsfield, Massachusetts was grounded today by a state motor vehicles inspector. School officials had to scramble this afternoon to find rides for 4,900 students. All of the children were eventually delivered to their homes. A routine inspection today turned up violations ranging from loose seats to broken headlights. More buses are scheduled to be inspected tomorrow.
At least 21 people have been injured in San Francisco when an out-of-control cable car slammed into the rear of a pickup truck. Witnesses say the cable car was moving 3 or 4 times faster than normal as it plunged down a rain-slicked hill. Others said the car picked up speed as it traveled down the hill. An official cause of the accident has not yet been released.
When we come back, Bob Kovachick will have your first look at the weather. And then later on in this newscast, we'll bring you Saratoga Springs action tonight on the Cater-Ross Carousel.
News 13 tonight, sponsored in part by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
I like lightning and thunder, always have. Two paltry little flashes and one sort of wimpy roll of thunder tonight. That was it in Iskiona. That's all I heard, Bob. I have my hopes up.
What are you going to do to make this guy
I apologize
happy?
for wimpy thunder and poultry lightning. You'll have your share this summer. There'll be time you'll be hiding under this desk when we get those thunderstorms. I know you. Let's take a look at the Cohoes Falls tonight, Eddie. On kind of a rainy night, about 2.5 hours of rain brought about a ½ an inch to the area. Mild day today, 75. The official high at the Albany County Airport this afternoon, and 51 the low. Normal 69 and 45. The record high for the date 88 and the record low 33. Now at 11 o'clock, cloudy, little light fog. Rain has quit, 61 degrees, 97% humidity. The barometer is going up with a south wind and about 4/10 of an inch of rain, all coming in a 2-hour period tonight. Across the region, from the Skywatch Network, temperatures are in the 50s now. 59 degrees, Clifton Park. They had a pretty heavy downpour of rain there for a while. Amsterdam's checking in with 62 degrees. And Bern and the Helderbergs, 56 degrees right now. Generally, low to mid-60s from Glens Falls to Poughkeepsie, east to Pittsfield, Bennington, on up to Rutland. Skies pretty heavily clouded. Most of the rain now has exited the Hudson Valley, although still raining up north toward Glens Falls, on east to Rutland and over toward Bennington down to Pittsfield. But the showers and storms are now pretty much moving out of the area, and there is some dry weather to the west. Let's check radar. And that patch of showers and thunderstorms that moved eastward, remember we were tracking them at 6 o'clock tonight, marching east along the Mohawk Valley. They've now moved basically out of eastern New York State. Quite a bit of rain and a little thunder. Not much, but a little thunder and lightning across southern Vermont, in Bennington and Windham counties, on up to almost Rutland, and across much of the Berkshires of Massachusetts, getting a pretty good downpour of rain now. The rain will move away quickly, and for our viewers over east, the rain should end in about the next hour to an hour and a half. Back to the weather maps now, satellite view. Again, a patch of white, bright clouds blossoming up over western New York this afternoon, moving through. Those were the showers and thunderstorms we had this evening. But I'm a bit more optimistic for tomorrow, because notice there is some clearing in central and western New York, and a pretty good batch of clearing across Ohio and the eastern Great Lakes. So I think some sunshine is very much in evidence or in order for tomorrow. Then another cool front. This one will move on east. We'll see some developing showers and thunderstorms ahead of that front as it plows through here tomorrow, and then finally out of here giving us dry weather Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, and Friday. So there is some good news ahead as we move on through the week. National weather scene, some pretty big thunderstorms also in the Carolinas down into Georgia tonight. Many reports of hail down there. Mild or warm in mid-country, actually hot. Scottsbluff, Nebraska, 92. Denver touched 90. Even Billings, Montana, 90 today. And that hot weather is going to gradually move across the country, so that I wouldn't be surprised, although not hot, it could get fairly warm here as we move through later in the week and on toward next weekend. But let's talk about the immediate range forecast. For this night, showers and storms ending over in our eastern viewing area, clearing and cooler, and lows 50 to 55. For tomorrow during the day, partly sunny, mild. Not a bad day. Most of the sun will be in the morning, then more showers and storms later. Highs tomorrow in the 70s. That's not too bad. Tomorrow night, cloudy, cooler, a few showers, 45, 50. Wednesday, if you're going to play golf, play in the afternoon. Showers will end in the morning, clearing and cooler. High Wednesday, 65 to 70. Long range trend now. Good on Thursday, partly sunny Friday, good on Saturday, maybe even in the 80s next weekend. So we're looking pretty sharp, I think.
Yeah, I'll take it.
We'll work on better lightning and thunderstorms later in the summer.
What you got scheduled for Saturday looks fine.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. There are now less than 2 weeks before the big run for women on May 28th, and if you've been training along with our running series, health reporter Benita Zahn says it is all downhill from here.
The days have finally warmed, so running should be more of a joy now.
This week is where the light at the end of the tunnel starts to shine.
Because after today, there are just 12 days to the Run for Women.
Now I'm truly excited. I looked at the calendar the other day and realized I have, 2-3 weeks, and it's coming down to the limit now. So I'm really trying to push myself and do better every day.
But Jane and all runners in training have to keep in mind that races are often lost because of overtraining.
I would suggest a little easier, a little less. Don't push yourself as hard. You're really, in this week, maintaining what you have earned.
So this week you'll be running 27 minutes on Tuesday, 22 minutes on Wednesday, kick it in for a 30-minute run Thursday, and then catch your breath Friday. Saturday it's back out there for 27 minutes, and Sunday another biggie, 30 to 35 minutes. Don't overdo it. Don't push beyond your limit.
You'll be refreshed, and the secret to good racing is to go into a race feeling not tired.
Benita Zahn, The Health Report.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll bring you the latest shakeup in Edwin Meese's office and the latest on the Caterhorse carousel story. A compromise by all involved tonight led to tentative selection of a site for the Caterhorse Carousel. Saratoga Springs City Council tonight agreed unanimously to put the historic merry-go-round on a site that is 1 block off Broadway, adjacent to the city center on Maple Avenue. The council had been unable to agree on for the carousel since the city bought it last September. Public Works Commissioner Thomas McTighe said his department is still working on cost estimates for the Maple Avenue site. A formal vote on the site is expected later this month. Your vote is what a Long Island lawyer was after when he came to Colony today. Robert McMillan met with local Republican officials this morning, hoping to challenge Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan for his Senate seat. McMillan is a virtual political unknown who has never before held elective office.
I think that I have an advantage as a fresh face, and a face that hasn't been shop-worn in the media over the last few years.
McMillan says he will run if he can raise money and support from upstate Republicans. He'll make that decision on the race within the next 2 weeks.
There was a shakeup in the office of the nation's top justice official today. The embattled Attorney General, Edwin Meese, fired his Director of Public Affairs, and almost as soon as that happened, Meese's top speechwriter quit.
Fighting to survive as Attorney General, Meese fired his own spokesman, Terry Eastland. Eastland said that Meese told him he hadn't been aggressive enough in responding to critics of the Attorney General. Meese's chief speechwriter, William Shambra, resigned in sympathy. He said he was deeply disturbed by Eastland's removal. Meese insisted it was just time for a change.
We just decided, I guess basically I decided this was a good time for a change in leadership.
Justice Department officials say that Meese was especially upset about editorial cartoons that depicted him as a crook or buffoon. The officials say Eastland didn't take them seriously enough. And Eastland was not regarded by friends of Meese as tough enough to handle more criticism of Meese expected soon. For his part, Eastland, a committed conservative, has grown tired and frustrated that the conservative agenda was put on hold while Meese was repeatedly preoccupied with grand juries and while top posts around the Attorney General remained unfilled. Nonetheless, one former Justice Department official, Gary McDowell, said Meese was crazy to fire Eastland, who was well respected.
I think it's completely crazy. I think this is the worst judgment Ed Meese has ever made as Attorney General.
Why?
At a time when he most needs him, at a time when he needs that credibility in the public imagination, he has served to sever the one man who gave it to him.
Carl Stern, NBC News, Washington.
The U.S. Surgeon General made headlines today when he publicly stated what many have believed for some time. Dr. C. Everett Koop today delivered a report that compares nicotine to cocaine and heroin. The report does not break new scientific ground, but it does put on the record something that has never been officially said before.
This report addresses why people continue to smoke despite the known health hazards. And the short answer to that is that cigarettes are addicting.
Koop says he does not think tobacco will ever be abolished from society, but he hopes his report will lead to action that protects children from nicotine.
In sports, the Celtics against the Hawks again tonight in Atlanta, and Mac will have highlights of that. He'll also have some big news concerning Bobby Knight, Mets, and Yankees action all next. To use Mac's favorite term, juicy, juicy. This series is getting good. Boston, Atlanta, now 2-2. Casey gets thrown out.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they were frustrated tonight. And, well, they should have been. Atlanta played well, but you have to remember, 2 of the next 3, if they are necessary, will be played at the Boston Garden. And Atlanta can't win in Boston, plain and simple. In fact, Boston hasn't lost to that team at the Garden since way back in 1985. But tonight surely belonged to the Hawks. They played great basketball, and they won it 118-109. Dominique Wilkins throwing them in all over the place. He ended up with 40 points. Boston just could not deal with him tonight. But the real key to this baby was Doc Rivers. He had 14 points, 5 rebounds, and 22 assists. He made him explode. Look at this. Rivers strips it away, comes down court, splits the defense, feeds Dominique for the jam. Wow. Boston came from 19 points back tonight with 5 points in a row here by Danny Ainge, getting him to within 4 with 2:50 to go. But Rivers then dumped down a big three-pointer, and the Hawks stepped on the gas again. In college ball, Bobby Knight has decided to stay at Indiana, thereby turning down the biggest coaching contract in history of the college game at New Mexico. Knight says he feels comfortable at Indiana in terms of recruiting and overall organization after 17 years of building that program. New Mexico, meantime, may now sign SMU coach David Bliss. In baseball, Billy Martin had his 60th birthday tonight, and the Yankees celebrated by presenting him with a sweet 3-1 win over Seattle. Crowd gave Billy a big hand, and he responded with a tip of the old hat after they played happy birthday for him early in the game. Jack Clark's gift to Mr. Martin was a personal 2-run homer in the first off starter and loser Michael Moore. And Winnie picked up another RBI with that liner up the middle, plating Cordell Washington. Winnie with 38 RBIs, tops in the American League. John Candelaria won his 4th in a row and 5th overall, and at one point set down 12 in a row. Righetti finally got a save after that long drought tonight, getting a double play to end the baseball game, and he looked good tonight. Elsewhere in the American League, Oakland looked good, 3-0 over Boston. Storm Davis won his 4th. Dave Parker hit a 2-run homer. That team has such power. Wow. Elsewhere in the American League, Toronto 5-1 over Chicago. That game just over. Milwaukee in the 7th inning beating Detroit 3-1. And it's Kansas City 6-2 over Texas in the 8th. In the National League, right-hander Dwight Gooden going for his 7th win without a loss tonight at San Diego, but he's having his problems. That RBI double by John Kruk, the left center, scoring Dickie Thon. And another run off Gooden, this one by Carmelo Martinez scoring Kruk. It's now 3-2 Pods in the 3rd inning. Elsewhere in the National League, Houston does a number on Pittsburgh, winning 9-2. And Browning wins his 2nd tonight. Cincinnati, red hot these days, 4-2 over Atlanta. Big party tonight at the Americana Inn in Colony, the celebration of the New York Red champions of 1987, and Rodger was there.
The well-respected D. Wayne Lucas was honored tonight as Trainer of the Year for 1987. Unfortunately, Lucas was not there to pick up the award. Instead, he was on his way to Baltimore, where his highly touted filly, Kentucky Derby winner Winning Colors, will race in Saturday's Preakness, the 2nd jewel of horse racing's Triple Crown. Earlier this month, Lucas broke his Kentucky Derby jinx.
The Derby has been kind of a thorn in our side, but this year we got the monkey off our back, and I think the next ones will come even easier.
Assistant trainer Randy Bradshaw stood in for Lucas tonight and talked about the filly's chances on Saturday.
We're going to stick with our game plan and let the filly run her race, and if somebody wants to go to the lead, we'll be laying 2nd or 3rd.
Rodger Wyland, News 13, Colony.
Thanks, Roger. In the Eastern League tonight, Albany Colony 2-0 over New Britain. Glens Falls over Williamsport 5-2, and it was Harrisburg 6, Pittsfield 0. And that, folks, is it.
Okay, don't go away.
All right.
Because we're going to take a break, come back and tell you everything you always wanted to know about vacationing in the Okefenokee Swamp, and undoubtedly some things you don't want to know. Finally tonight, are you looking for that special little place to get away from it all this summer? Well, it's not exactly Atlantic City, but the Okefenokee Swamp does have something to offer for nature lovers. It's hot, ugly, buggy, and dangerous, but that hasn't stopped people from traveling there.
You don't have to get up early, but it helps if you're looking for wildlife in the Okefenokee Swamp. Springtime is when folks think the swamp comes alive, but that's not true. It's alive and kicking all the time. It's just that spring is when most people come to see it move.
People flock here. Day after winter, people like to get out. They like to get out in places that are very pretty and natural, and Okefenokee is one of those places.
Now, if you're here to see some wildlife, and believe me, you're not here for the water skiing, there's a couple of ways to do it. One method, the lazy man's and therefore mine, is to rent a motorboat and drive through the swamp as fast as a 10-horsepower Evinrude will take you. You see wildlife this way, but always from the same angle. But if you expect to come face to face with Mother Nature, you've got to cut the engine, be patient, and forget about all the nasty things you ever heard about swamps.
A marvelous place to go and get lost and sort of get back to nature, so to speak. It's wonderful, really is.
In the Okefenokee Swamp, this is Ted Brown reporting.
I think it looks like fun.
Yeah, kids would have a good time there. I could bring them along. For kids' sake, huh? The Okefenokee Swamp.
We have plenty. I'm putting them very near the alligators, is that?
No, I wouldn't do that. Why, what a cruel thing to even conceive of.
That's exactly what you were thinking.
No.
It is.
See you tomorrow.
Have a good night. We'll be here tomorrow night at 6.